What's going on, guys? It's Chris Barnard, LA host, Tyler McCoy, Shannon Stewart, and Danny Magic. We're just chilling here, driving back from the Hollywood Hills where we were staying this past weekend, and we're actually headed to the airport to fly back to Florida. We just want to continue on with the show, and obviously we're not going to be together this week, except for now, so we figured we'd just go ahead and we had some time before we get to the airport, so we go ahead and shoot this. And on today's subject, I thought what a better title or subject to talk about than connecting with your team, building your team, the challenges you face while you're essentially going through that growth phase and trying to fit the right people into the puzzle of what can be your empire. And you know, I just want to first start off by saying, like, I feel very fortunate after this weekend to be able to spend with you guys here in this truck, and just all the things we were able to execute on. We got some coaching done this weekend, and it was just an amazing time. E, I'll ask you a question. What you know, you kind of started from a one-man band, and we're able to add little instruments along the way. What did you look for and when you started to realize or develop a team, and say, you know, what were you looking for?
I was looking for somebody with taste, tenacity, and trust.
Yes.
3 T's I was looking for. And so I didn't have to go very far. I saw that in you. I saw tenacity, first of all, as an athlete, and I was like, oh, this guy's relentless. And the way you show up in the gym, the way you show up in sport, is usually the way you're going to show up in life. Taste, meaning creativity. A lot of people like their talent. They're hard working, but they're just not talented. I know a lot of guys, they're hustlers, you know. Gary Vee says, hustle, crush it. But like, if you have no talent, you're just crushing garbage. Right? So taste, tenacity, and trust. And for me, it really is about the trust. I like working with people I love. I like being around people that I admire, that I look up to, that I have faith in. This whole weekend's been fucking crazy about having faith in you driving around these Hollywood Hills. That's been the craziest. We're zipping up and down, round and round, roundabout these hills, and I'm having anxiety and getting nauseous in the passenger seat, while Chris has his phone in one hand because he's watching the map and staring the other. And man, I put my life in your hands. My life and my livelihood. So yeah, that's where it's at for me. It's about taste, tenacity, and trust, baby.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's absolutely, I think, you know, we often talk about that, and I think when we get together and every new guy we bring on, that has become our measuring stick. You know, we often talk about taste and tenacity, and we often talk about, and what was the other one you like to call it? Initiative and resourceful. So it's essentially the same thing.
Take initiative. And
but you know, is a guy going to step into his own role? You know, we've recently read a book called Relentless by Tim Grover. You guys can check that out. Really amazing book. And he talks about 3 different types of, you know, athletes. And really, when you start to deal with athletes, you can start to identify, when you're building a business team, there's so many parallels you could draw from that. And you know, he refers to them as coolers, closers, and cleaners. And kind of like, if you ever played sports, think of a role player, you know, on like a basketball team. Damn, my ears are popping, bro.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Up and down these hills.
We're in these hills, and my damn ears are killing me.
Relationships.
But if you ever refer to like one guy being like a role player, you know, that's like in basketball, think of like your guy who's going to hit that 3-pointer for you. He's not going to do too much else. You got your closer, who's the guy who's going to put up points. He's pretty dynamic on the floor. But you know, he doesn't have the ball in his hands in high pressure situations. Then you got the all-star of the team, you know, the GOATs, the greatest of all times, the Kobe's, the Michaels, the ones that they thrive off that pressure and thrive off their external circumstances, being outside of their comfort zone and still executing at a high level. And you know, that's kind of been a great tool for us to look at some of our guys and see their strengths and weaknesses. And I think people go back and forth with amongst all 3 in certain areas or skill sets within you know, their tasks at hand. However, you do see a lot of guys, and we're trying to formulate a team where it's guys who are taking initiative, taking that massive action and figuring it out no matter what. We're in a day and age where, you know, I often tell a lot of our guys, hey, if you don't know anything, you can easily find it out through Google. So it's never a matter of what don't you know. So it's not a matter of the skills you can accumulate sometimes. It's also about what you can figure out, because I didn't have skills to start off with you and make YouTube videos, but we figured it out. So I think that's very important. And beyond that, I think just the connecting with each other and being able to spend some quality time, as you alluded to, with trust. You know, you've always made me a better man because you've always challenged me to step my game up, you know, and you've always given me that space and that patience to allow me to mature, and I thank you for that. And even when sometimes I didn't do my best work or I didn't know what I was doing, you've always kind of realized and been mature enough to see where I was at in my own path and my journey, and you've allowed that to transpire. Even when sometimes maybe you know, I'm down your neck or something like that, things happen, you know what I mean? It's not always going to be the smoothest of rides, but as long as you can kind of be patient with your guy and you know, always be open and transparent as opposed to closed off and passive aggressive. I think passive aggressiveness can absolutely kill great businesses, great partnerships, because they don't know how to properly communicate. And I think that as a man in my life, you've always mentored me to be able to communicate to another man. And for that, I thank you. And I think that's been a huge thing amongst our team, is overall communication. You have anything to say on that?
No, but I actually, last night we hung out with Owen, RSD, RSD Tyler, and man, he's a magician with a bag of tricks. I was just listening to him jotting down all the tricks. One of the tricks that he shared with me, which reminds me of what you're saying right now with regard to authentic communication and really being able to bypass any misunderstandings that may happen during communication with your team. He uses WhatsApp and sends video messages to his guys. He doesn't do text message so much. And he says, because when I'm looking at the camera, they can see my face and what may sound like passive aggressive or might sound like just something that they may not have understood if they didn't see my look on my face. Like maybe they would think I'm angry with the way I'm speaking, with the words I'm using, but because you can see my face, the communication is that much clearer. So really, communication goes so much further beyond words. It's really an energetic exchange, and by having conversations face to face, that's why it's important when we have live meetings face to face. But if we can't be face to face, and I'd like to start doing this, I'm going to start doing it, sending you guys little video messages like, yo, I wanted to explain something to you, I want you to receive what I'm saying, but words just pale in comparison into the actual expression of the thing. You know, when I say something as opposed to when I type it. So yeah, that's one thing.
100%. Yeah. And I think also that to go along with the communication, one of our tips and tricks has always been for us to put ourselves in non-pressure situations where we can just vibe. You know, a lot of people have seen how we've birthed. If you guys have ever seen the video Train, where we're due to overhead pressing, is one of the most popular videos that was up, you get to see how me and Elliot, you know, used to come out and just kind of sit in at the warehouse in Strength Camp 2 and just vibe. I mean, we would talk everything from women to business to training to, you know, anything philosophical under the sun. And that's some of those times I cherish the most, because those used to be our best conversations. If not there, then the top of the loft in the Strength Camp 1. And, you know, I just felt like those are the things that really birthed and grew us and our partnership. You know, what we've tended to do once we got into the big facility was, you know, you moved your office out of there, you created a little bit of space for yourself, some healthy boundaries. I was still in there, so we weren't seeing each other as much anymore, and what we decided to do was walk and talk. So essentially, you know, it started off two mornings a week where we just essentially go and we essentially walk around the water. And through that, you know, we don't have really any agenda when we do that. It's just us being able to enjoy each other as friends. We spit some business back and forth if it comes up. We're able to talk about life and what we got going on in our life situations, and it allows us, through that communication, it allows us to then birth bigger ideas to be able to support our vision and our growth going forward with our companies. You know, anybody who's starting a partnership or a business, you know, especially with friends, a lot of people think it's a great idea. Hey, start a business with your friend. Oh, we have this great idea. Great, that's good. But once you get into the grind of things, you're going to experience being down somebody's neck back and forth. I mean, we've all experienced it. Me and Shannon were great friends in the very beginning. Once you get into the grind of things, you know, sometimes you guys can get down each other's necks. Sometimes, you know, it happens. But as long as you can create that space where you can then go back to, you know, going to what birthed your relationship in the beginning, it allows you to, you know, nobody can take that away from you. You know, you're still that same person. So when we were able to walk, it still allowed us to kind of get back and, you know, no matter what kind of high pressure situations, how the business was doing, through the thick and thin, I was going through an extremely hard time. And if we didn't do those walks during that very hard time when I was going through as far as financially, when I was getting the gym off the ground, could have possibly sunk because of the energy that I was bringing towards us in the meetings and everything. So it's just so important that you go back to what birthed your relationship with that partner and always create that space or carve that space out once a week to not be in that high pressure business meeting. Just be able to spend some time with each other and enjoy your guys' relationship. And I think we got a lot of that this weekend for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes back to being before doing, right? Where we could talk about all the things we're supposed to do and be up on that, quite frankly, superficial level of activity, or we could spend more time focused on our being. And to get the most bang out of the buck for me, it's spending heartfelt being time together with one another. Colleen and I are a good example. You know, I've had another long-term relationship with her, and we spend a lot of time just being, meaning like we'll go on date nights together every single week. When we're at home, we're busy doing, helping with the homework, helping with the kids, washing dishes, cooking, all the things that we have to do. But we make sure that weekly and multiple times, in fact, like, I'm going to embarrass her now, we shower together every night. I know we're talking about relationships now.
That's cute.
But yeah, well, it allows us to be in intimate space or union with one another outside of any other agenda except we're cleaning our bodies and we're enjoying one another naked. You know what I'm saying? It's not even like the agenda of sex is there. There's no agenda of sex. We're just enjoying ourselves together in this close quarters. You see what I'm saying? So that to me is the foundation for all relationships, is our friendship, our beingness, our comfort in silence even, you know. A lot of times we are so trapped in doing that speaking becomes a neurotic activity. We gotta talk, something to do, what's next, and we're constantly becoming ungrounded in the tumult and tornado of activity, and we never actually just get to sink into our own beingness with another individual in absence of speaking and doing. And that is the deep energetic exchange that's only available when we're physically present with one another. Another thing that we had some coaching this weekend with Bedros Keuilian, fitness business stuff, helping to build Strength Camp International. So, you know, those of you guys who are getting coaching or coaches, just know that we're still in this game too. And one of the things that Bedros said, oh man, I'm drawing a blank right now. What the hell did Bedros say? I don't remember what the fuck Bedros said. So, yeah, we're in Cali, so I had enough weed to smoke. Yeah, that keeps that short-term memory lagging. But
going off is exactly what you're going to say is the importance of being able to continue your education, continue your coaching, continue your consulting. People think that he said one thing that was pretty a gem to me. You know, we all think that there's going to be this white horse and guy on a white horse coming in to save the day. Now, I think more or less what coaching can sometimes do, obviously, coaching from a standpoint for us now, being able to see it, isn't like necessarily an exchange of you know, obviously on a physical level, it's exchange of money for value. But for us, it's more or less, we start to realize, what is this?
Good.
We start to realize it reveals stuff that we already know and then shortens our time down because we're able to cut our time in half from what the objective we're trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. You know, and we know that anybody can get a lot of the stuff done. It takes agonizing years of figuring it out. You know, for instance, we offer obviously Strength Camp International. One of the things that we offer is all these systems for people to be able to cut their time in half to run their own gym, business in a box. You're constantly competing for space in the fitness market. In fact, it's more saturated than ever, but I think it's going to continue to grow to exponential levels, meaning I believe that fitness is not going anywhere. All this hype you see on Instagram and through all these social media platforms is just going to grow more, and the pendulum always swings. So I think it's going to go back to brick and mortar and being able to serve people on a personal level, and I think those people who get in on it early are able to really benefit. When they own multiple gyms, that's going to be the real entrepreneurs of the future. But essentially, we offer systems which cut people time in half. So I look at some of the guys we work with. It's like, yeah, you possess it, you could do it. We don't, you know, we just spent 10 plus agonizing years trying to figure out all these little details. You could take the 10 years and you know, hopefully you get successful and you're persistent enough to get through it. But however, you could cut your time in half and hit your wagon and then say, okay, I do it in 1 to 2 years. I mean, shit, we have guys who are starting to turn profit within 3 months. And I think for us, we're constantly figuring out who can we identify to be able to help us cut our time in half, even if it's risk that we don't have. We've always hired certain people and certain consulting and coaching for us to be able to cut our time in half because we know the value in it, and we know, you know, we could figure it out, but the experience.
We got here because you invested in coaching with me. I mean, that's where we began.
Yeah.
Coaching athlete.
Yeah, man. If I could go back for a moment, I remembered what I was talking about relationships, right? And one of the things Pedro said was that in terms of hiring people, when you have virtual help, you get virtual results. Yeah. And I realized that in this world of 4-hour work week type thinking, you can outsource everything. But one thing that I just don't like outsourcing or having done are relationships with people that are not here. Like virtual partnership, virtual relationship gets you virtual work done. So I'm all about, there's so many things, there's only so many things that the internet can provide or technology can provide. Nothing can shortcut or shortchange or get away from heart-to-heart, face-to-face, physical communication with someone.
Absolutely.
Nothing, in my opinion. The other thing, number two, that I mean, we learned a lot of different things, but in terms of like little metaphors and bites, that's where those are the things I take home. One bite was about getting rid of people who you can't help. So sometimes when you're hiring people for your team, or like in our case, we're bringing people on to support them in their business, you know, and they're our coaching clients. And some people just can't get their shit together. Some people just are duds, if you will, and there's no other way to say about it. My dad, I used to like not understand my dad. I used to say he's uncompassionate, but he used to just be like, some people are useless. That's what my dad used to say, and that's not politically correct. When my dad's from the jungle, he doesn't give a fuck. They're useless. This guy is useless. Some people are useless, and the fact is, some people are useless. Particularly if you're on a journey somewhere, trying to do something. That guy is just like is baggage, he would say. And Pedro's, you know, we were talking about like being a nice guy and not getting rid of clients that we need to get rid of, or people that are working with us that we need to get rid of. And he told a story about I think it was a Navy SEAL or something, but you know, some high-profile military guy who was a friend of his, and he said, listen, this is what they tell us to do when we're rescuing somebody in the water in the Navy. And if you're drowning in the water, a helicopter comes to rescue you, and somebody comes down that rope into the water to help you, and the guy who's drowning, if he starts freaking out and grabbing on top of the person that's coming to save him, like drowning, like so the two of them would drown, he says that they're taught to punch the guy in the face and swim away. So you could just imagine, like, I'm a soldier going to save another soldier, a warrior trying to save a warrior, but if that warrior can't get his shit right, if he can't help me help him, then I literally have to punch him in his face so that 2 American soldiers don't die instead of 1. And that's really critical to remember as a coach or anybody in a relationship with anyone. If someone is dragging you down, you cannot save them if they're flailing and freaking the fuck out. So you just gotta punch people in the face and move away. Swim away.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. 100%. And it you know, it's really one of those, it's a great metaphor for guys that we work with, people that we've consistently tried to bring on in the team. And it's like, it's not a matter of if I don't love you or like you as a human being, because sometimes you're gonna have that. It's more or less like, yo, I'm on this mission. I'm so attached to my vision and know where we're going. And it's kind of like, get on my level or get out of my way. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's very important to be able to identify the people who are kind of sucking that away from you or not aligned, you know, that where it becomes your vision. Now, obviously, you had a vision. I came a lineman, and we shared a vision. And every person that comes on, you guys share a vision. I think that's also very important, too, because people can get away from the fact that, oh, it's all about this person, all about this person. No, you begin to share a collective vision. You, like us, it's helping people become the strongest version of themselves. That's something that you can definitely ride for. You could be a ride or die for that, and everyone that comes on our team becomes a ride or die for, or an advocate for that sole mission. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't know if I want to talk anymore, dog. I'm kind of a little bit car sick. You got any closing words, brother?
No. I guess we could just say done, wrap it up.
Done, man. Appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you got some value from it. We're just riding to the airport. Again, tune in Wednesdays 9:30, Strength Camp Show. Holla at y'all next time.
Done.